It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Mireille, Myriam, Herr, and your maiden name was Doris.
Yes.
And here we in your beautiful apartment in Jerusalem. And Myriam, you were one of the hidden children in France.
Yes, I was. You mean that's what they see now in the video? Okay, so you want to know something about my name? It's not so. My name is Mireille, a French name because I was born in France, and it should be the name of my grandmother. I mean the grandmother of my mother, just as a name, an Hebrew name, Myriam. But in our family, we didn't use the Hebrew name. So she was Mathilde. And my parents said that Mathilde is not a good name for a child at this time. And they wanted something more modern or something, and it was Mireille. The real name is Myriam, but Myriam was the Hebrew name. And that's why I call, so my name was Mireille, and something maybe more interesting, that my family name was Doris, and no one knows what is this name. It doesn't seem to be a Jewish name, and my father came from Lita, and I know there are some Doris there. Maybe it was Dvoires, something from Yiddish, and maybe they came to France and they didn't know French. So when they made papers, as they wrote something on the paper, it came like that. Okay, that's my name. That was my name, Mireille Doris. Now I'm in Israel, and my name is Myriam Herr. But okay, if you wanted to know, but it's not a very interesting thing.
And Myriam, do you know where in Lita they came from?
Yes, from my father came from a very small village that was called Soloki. And the same, it's written in the French paper, Soloki, and today I know they say Salakas. For someone knows something there. Unfortunately, I couldn't go there. I wanted once to visit, and I had no opportunity to visit Soloki.
And Myriam, where were you born? And
I'm born in Paris.
In what year?
1934. And my mother herself was born in Paris. I was 2 generations in Paris, and it's a bit rare, not, but in the side of my mother, they came from Russia, okay, so I was born in Paris, in the 20th arrondissement, they say, and I I was born, and my parents were, they had a life. It's like some. They came from. They were a bit stranger. My father came. My mother less, because she was born in Paris, and my father was. I don't know how you say that. Cooper. He made. How do you say in English, impermeable? Mitigation, if you know, if you know Ivrit.
For rain?
Yes.
Like raincoats?
Yes, that's what he was doing, raincoats. And they were simple people, very, and they had no problem before the war. I won't say they were Jews, regular Jews, simple people.
Were they traditional?
And my my grandparents and my grandmother they were, we would say, Shomrei Mitzvot, but my parents didn't want to go on, and they were not Shomrei Mitzvot, and they were Jewish, not...
They weren't so observant.
No,
They were less observant.
No, they weren't, they didn't want to be observant, they want to be modern, and but they were not exactly what you call... they had a Jewish life, not observant Jewish life.
But did your mother light Shabbos candles?
No, that's what, no, but what we know what's Pesach, you know what it is, we eat gefilte fish, and in Pesach we order matzot, and we bought in the Jewish shops, and it was a Jewish life, not observant Jewish life, we went in, someone for the children, we went in Purim, in the Bet Knesset, somewhere, and it was, and what you want, I suppose you are asking me a question because I was an Eden child, so I will tell you how it happened, that I was Eden child. I have to explain. So we had a very simple and regular life before the war, and I was 5 when the war began, and my life was to go to school, and my parents were working and everything. All right, until the day that in the war we had to warn the yellow star that begin, and I think I have to I can, the story is a very long story, so it's difficult to, but I will just in short. What the first time that really something hopeful happened to our family, it was when they came to take my grandmother, she was living in our apartment. She was living with us, and in the middle of the night, they were doing like that. In the middle of the night, they came and they knocked at the door. First, my parents didn't want. I was, in the middle of the night. I was a child. I was sleeping, until when my parents didn't want to open, so they went out, and they came back, and they didn't know what to know. Anyway, the second time they came in, they had to open the door, and 6. They were not soldiers, they were from the police, French policemen. 6 French policemen came. Why, I suppose, why they were 6, because it was the second time they came. It was in the first time, and they thought maybe, and they couldn't open, so they thought there is something difficult here. They enter. And one had a paper in his hand and wrote a name, Dora Abramovich. It was the name of my grandmother. And they came and they say, I suppose you know these kind of stories. She had to 5 minutes or to take a suitcase with something and to go. And that's exactly what happened. So at this time I was no more sleeping, and I was looking at what happened. and there was as my father and my mother helped to find a suitcase and to put things, and that was, and my grandmother said goodbye to anyone, and she came to me, and she said, I remember she was very courageous, I think. She did, and she didn't want us to be to fear or to be sad, and she tried to say that everything will be all right, and she came to my bed. I was in bed to kiss me goodbye, and she said, you will pray God every day. She said to me, it was a kind of to say everything will be all right, I suppose. And I was looking and I couldn't say anything. I was like even you know I wanted to say yes immediately, but I couldn't. I couldn't say a word. I was looking, and one of the policemen said, "That's enough," and she had to go, and I knew that it was finished. Something I felt, and always, you know, I think as not the only one. Il y a de French, she wrote a book, and in French, and the title is Je ne lui ai pas dit au revoir. That is, I didn't say him or her goodbye, and that's exactly what happened. I couldn't. That's it. And after this happened, my parents, we were thought it's not possible to go on, and we have to hide the children, and that's why I was an idle child, and they took my brother and myself to do you say omenet to women in a village, to women in a very small village in Normandy, and she was taking children, and she really said they asked her if she can take Jewish children. So she find this address, I suppose, with my mother was working, you know, in some Jewish association in Paris, and she got an address, or maybe some friend, and they sent us, my brother and
How old is your brother?
it was 1.5. I was 7 at this time. I was 7 and he was. We have a very great difference, and he was about 1 and something. And
this is the picture of.
This. Yes, this is exactly, if you want, my brother and myself. It's not a very good picture, but I have some other picture. But anyway, not. And
Myriam, can I ask, did you ever hear from your grandmother again? Do you know where she went?
No, I know. After no, we didn't know anything. First thing really. We know she went to Drancy because it was the first step.
The transit.
Yes, to go to Drancy. This we knew, and you know, I have now some of my stories. I wrote them in French, you know. And if you want to know something, you can. There is this mémoire vive. It's good to know. Because we have a lot of not only my stories, it's stories of many of the Indian children that are now in Israel. I writing in there. And something that is written in here, you know, we got, when they took my grandfather, and some days, I don't know how many days, 5 or 8 days after that, she was in Drancy, we got a letter from her. You know what was the letter? As on a very small paper. I don't know how she did that, but and what is very interesting is what she's written from Drancy. This maybe it will be interest you. What she's written from Drancy. Anyway, to read, I have to put. It begins like that. I don't know if I can say that it is in French. Mes très chers enfants, je suis heureuse de vous écrire pour vous tranquilliser. That is, I'm happy to write you that you'll be calm, not exactly. You won't. You won't fear anything. She tries to say everything is all right. Je me porte bien et j'espère vous lire. I'm feeling well, and I hope I will read a letter from you very soon. This is the letter. And after that, you know, she write, don't be sad, Mireille, because she was written to everyone in the family and to me too, especially, and said, don't be sad, Mireille, your grandmother will come back.
Can we show the letter?
And this is, you know, this is the kind of paper, she had nothing else. So that's the last thing we got from her, from Drancy. And after that we didn't know. I was a small child, but I think that my parents didn't know anything more, neither.
And they never heard from her again?
No. After that, she was deported. We didn't even know when she was deported to. She was not deported exactly to Auschwitz, because exactly in the train. Especially her train, you know, sometimes they had a problem, so they went to Majdanek. Exactly, we knew, but we knew that after the war, not in the war. So she disappeared. Like we didn't know anything about her anymore. And what I wanted to say, you asked me, that's why I was an hidden child, because my parents had not this idea before. We were supposed to go on and to live in Paris like Jewish people were living in Paris. You know, in Paris it was not like in Germany. The Jewish people didn't got, you know, how do you say, des coups. They were not beaten in the street. Mm-hmm. So generally they were not beaten in the street really. So life was going continue like it's possible. Yes, we were not. We couldn't go to the park. You know what it is. But everything was going. But this, you know, after that, when they took my grandmother in my parents said it's not possible to, and by the way, after that, my father they took my father to a camp. And but fortunately, I want to say it was not Auschwitz or something. It was a camp to work in Origny, in one of the islands before the, between England and France. You have this Jersey, Guernesey, and the third one, Origny. I think in English, Alderney. You say Alderney. As my father was put in Alderney in a camp, and by the way, in 44, in 1944, he succeeded to escape from them. Because when they closed this camp in Origny, when they knew they are no more winning in the war, so they put them first in a boat, because it's an island, and the boat went to Boulogne-sur-Mer in France, and in Boulogne-sur-Mer in France there were trains to go just to Auschwitz, like they understand that. And a friend of my father said, "What are we doing here? We have nothing to lose. We have to go away." And they succeed, because they went, they run, they run in the. When they went down from the boat, between the boat and the train, they succeed to run in the street of Boulogne-sur-Mer, and I want to say something nice, if you will. When they were in the street running, and what could they do? They enter a shop. There, they saw something exactly. They didn't know anything. They entered a shop, and they said to the man who was there, "Can you hide us until the train will go?" And he said yes, and that's wonderful. And he took them. And there are some good stories too and he took them in a room and they wait for the train to go, and after that they went in the night, because they couldn't go from Boulogne-sur-Mer to Paris. They walked and they arrived in Paris. And bintayim.
But Myriam, can I ask, when your parents decided to take you in hiding with your brother,
yes,
do you remember saying goodbye to your parents? Do you remember when you left the house?
Yes.
You remember?
Oh, I remember. I will tell. I could, but there are so many details. I could tell you. It was exactly. You want to know? It was exactly like that. They got the address, and they decided, that's it. The children can't stay here anymore. But they wanted. They didn't want anyone to know that we are going here. That was a problem. So my mother took us, and my father didn't come. He stayed home because they didn't want to be that you see all the family is going, and so we said we kiss our father, and very simply because my parents didn't want. My brother was one, and I was. They didn't want us to think there is something very, very important. We are going away or something. They didn't want us to feel. So we said we gave a kiss to my father, and we went with my mother to until la gare Saint-Lazare. It was a train there to the station, and in the station one young one young woman was looking for, because it was all, it was an organization. My mother couldn't come, and so in the how do you say la gare in English, station. As one young woman was looking for my mother and for us, and we said, which is our mother, to my brother and I, and the young women took us into the train. And we went with until because it was an organization. And
was it the resistance?
You can call that resistance. I don't know. I suppose she was working with Jewish organization like Ose. I didn't know her. Now I don't know exactly who she was. So she took her, and she was very nice. She was with 2 children, very nice, and she asked us if we want to eat something, but we didn't want. And my mother told me first, I didn't say, when we went with my mother, we went in the metro in Paris. And in the metro, she said to me, everything will be all right. The peasants you are going, they are very nice, these people, and just to be patient, we'll come back, we'll come and take you when everything will be all right. And as a child, I just heard, and and I was very serious, in the war. I was not really a child. After all this kind, the hidden children. By the way, there were no more children after what they were looking at. As okay, so this he said, and you take care of your brother. When I was always taking care of my brother, that everything will be all right. And that's it. And my brother was one, and he was with me, and he was at the beginning he was interested in the train, and everything went and so so this life began. We went to Argentan, and the village we were supposed to go is 3 kilometers, about 3 miles from Argentan. I really don't remember. I remember many things. I really don't remember when we arrived from Argentan to say. That's what I always say. I suppose there were cars there, or maybe a taxi, maybe something. So we entered there. It was a small house there, without water, without electricity. It was like at this time there was, and there was the nurse. She was a nurse. It was. She has a diploma, she was really worse. And 20 years she was taking children, not only, and so she knew how to take children, and the young woman disappeared because she went until the house, and she had not to stay, and she went, and so the nurse tell us where now where we have to our bed it will be, and it was and we went in the around the house, and it was a very in this time, and so I don't know, in this village there was some how to say some beast in the they were living with
little animals.
with tarnagol animal, and that's why
Chickens
and we went and we look at that, and there was one cow, only one, because there were no not at all rich, one cow, and we see okay, and so life began.
And what year was this that you went? Do you remember the year?
Ah, yes, exactly. It was exactly in January 1944. And because my grandfather, they took her at the end of 1942, and that was the bad year in France to this, and so it took some months until January. I don't know exactly when they took my grandmother, but it was on November or December, at the end of 42, and in January 42 we went to the village, and we stayed there 2 years.
In 43?
43, yes. We 43 we arrived there, and we went out in 45. Yes. And so now what I can't tell so many things. So I was very lucky. The woman was a nice woman. The nurse was nice. Everything. I mean, it was not the life, my life. I mean, it was always very strange to me whether they were living. But anyway, I never suffer from cold, or I was never angry there. We were never, that was the.
Do you remember the name of the lady?
Yes. Now, after they are now in the list of the les justes, in the list of the right people that they, because we
righteous amongst the nations.
Yes, I did what you have to do to that they to have the medal, and they had. They got this medal, not him, because they were no more in
the descendants
in life when it was their grandson. Their grandson got the medal.
And Myriam, what was her name?
The name was Mathurin et Anne-Marie. Mathurin was the man. Anne-Marie Boutet. Yeah, in Yad Vashem you can see the Boutet. Want to know this name. And so we had a lot.
Was she kind to you? Was she very kind?
I don't think I thought she was very kind. She was very kind. She was very good. But what is kind? It was another kind another way of life. These people, they worked from morning to evening without, they were not speaking a lot. You know, so they were not speaking, and they had no time to speak with children. They were giving us how to eat and they were good. But it was not, there was nothing, no link, no special link, you know, because we had no time to speak. One of the, but she was. But she was very good. She was very good.
What did you do during the day, you and your brother?
Oh, fortunately, I was between 7 and when I got there, I was 8, so I had to go to school, and that was fortunate because every day I had what to do. I went to school. I went to school and I liked it, and you know, I can't really, I can't tell so many things. If you want, you read all this in Mémoire Vive. I just finish and I will tell you one story when I was at school. As you know, I was a good pupil, so there was no problem. I was in France, I succeeded in school, for me it was not a problem. And especially from Paris, you know, I came from Paris, and what they were doing in this small village, this small village, it was one class for every children of the village, and so we were about 40, I suppose, maybe 15, from every age, from 6 to 14. It was exactly the day. So in 14 you pass the certificate. From 6 to 14 you had there about 14 child, I suppose, for the children. And I was a good pupil, and there was no problem. But once the mistress came, and they had a lot of paper in her hand, and it came from the prefecture, and she had to write the name and all the details about every pupil. And so in this detail you ask for the name of the father. When she came, when it was my turn to speak, she said, okay, Mireille Dorès. He said, now, so I got up. Then she began to say the name, the family, and what the name of the father. And my father's name, what I knew, what it was always, was Simchel. It was not the real name. Not real, because his name was Abba Shimshon. But everyone called him Simchel. It was in Yiddish, you know, something like that. As that's what I said, Simchel. And when I said Simchel, I just understand that it's not possible. It's not possible that a name in France, that a name was Simchel. And I said, and you know, they told me don't say, not to say that I'm Jewish, and I was very serious. Simchel, but the name of my father, I didn't want to change. I was not really, because my name was not. No one spoke about changing name in my. And so she didn't understand, and she just said, "Sorry." And I said, "Simchel." I didn't know what to do, and so there was a miracle. I'm just glad to do a miracle. There was one of the small girls there, a friend who looked at me, and she wanted to help the mistress, and she said Michel. She had heard a French name, Michel, no problem. Monsieur Michel. But she thought that I don't speak well, and so she said to the, Michel. And I saw that she wrote, she was on the paper, Michel. And I was furious, but I didn't say anything. And it was a miracle. So it went like that. But I understand. I said, what did I say? So I had, some thing like that went in the village, and okay, so that's exactly.
And Myriam, did the other children know that you were Jewish?
No.
And the nurse?
No, it's not. Only the nurse, because.
And she never told anybody. She never told.
What do you think? It was the problem. It was exactly for that, not to say and not to know. Why did they ask the nurse? Because it was very dangerous, to if some German knew it was a dangerous
very
thing
dangerous.
to take that, and so but she had to know. Well, she had to know, but she had not to say for herself.
So how did the nurse explain that you were in the house? Did she say you were relatives of hers, or?
No, because she was you know what a nurse is? She had other children in the. A nurse is all his life, or 20 years in her life. She took children.
Oh, she took care.
She took care of children, and that was a lot. It was not, and so I was really. And that's what I say. So.
And what happened with your brother when you went to school? What did he do?
Oh, he was a very small child. He did what we were three. I said this we two in this. It was not a very big house. There was another one, a child, one the same age like my brother. Because you have to say that generally the children were smaller for the nurse, but she did. And what he did what the other time she was eating when he was eating, and he was amusing himself with something, that no one. And when I was at home, when I was not at school, as I was playing with him and with the other one, the other child too, we were like children there. And
did you stay in the same room? Did you sleep in the same room?
No. I had a room for myself, and the two small children, my brother and the other one, they were in it was a very big room. When we entered, that everything was there. We were eating there, and she was cooking there in the chimney, it was something like that. And there were two beds for small children. And
Myriam, did you have to go to church?
No, that's another story that I was really lucky, because this nurse and his husband.
She was married. The nurse was married.
Yes, she was married, and she had she was not young. She was not young. She was about 60 or something, or a bit. I said, and she. They didn't like the priest there. It was very, very historical, very sad story. They had Ben, who died, I don't know, much before. He died at the age of, he was 19. And they had a very bad story about the tomb. They wanted for this young, their child, 19, they wanted to add a tomb like that, and the priest didn't want, and it was a very complicated story, so they didn't go more to the church, and they didn't want to hear about that. And that was my luck too. There was, and so I had not to go to church. They didn't go to church, and I didn't go to.
And did you go to any of the other school children to their homes? Or were you friendly with the other school children?
Yes, but there was no more what I had. Every one of the children there was we were friends. It was a very, very small village, and sometimes we were going together. There was a wood not very far, or we were playing together, and well, there was no problem about that. But really, no one knew. It wasn't. I was not like Jewish there. No one knew that, and I don't. It was a place. I don't think they really. I've seen a Jew there. The Jews were not their problem, or they didn't think about Jews generally. Their problem, it was the war. The problem was they had not no potatoes, because the Germans were taking no cars, no oxes. They took from them everything. That was their problem in the war, not the Jews.
Did you ever see any Germans coming to the village? Did they ever come?
Yes, I talk another story if you want. There were Germans in this village. They were all living in a very big house that we called the castle. It was not a castle. It was not a real. It was a very, very big building, and every German was there. And in this very small village, there was a place. Around the place there was the church. The church, one shop, the school, in the same around the same place, and the German lived in this place, and we were living. This village was one street. We were living exactly at the other way of the street, and we didn't see many times German there. Not there. They had their place, but once came one young German, and he wanted to enter the garden. There was a garden around the small house, and he wanted to open the door. And the peasants didn't like the German. They were not so, and so he was not ready. And but this German was only speaking German, so he didn't understand what he wanted. And he was here, and he tried the German. I was in this garden. There was a bear. To take water.
A well.
A well.
A well.
It was a well, and I was doing things around the well. I was there, and I looked, and the German wanted something, and he tried to say, and said, no, understand. He didn't understand. He didn't want to open either. And the German was in. He was saying, Wasser, Wasser, and I understand what. And it was very long, and I didn't know what will be with that. So I went to. We call them Papa Boutet. That's what we call it. As I told him, what he wants water. I said that in French. Il veut de l'eau. The German was very dreadful, and he said, yes, de l'eau. And so he wanted to take some water from the well. And so he was obliged to open, and he came and took water. And suddenly I thought, but how it's possible that I understand what my Papa Boutet didn't understand what he said, and I understand. And so he understood and said, because it's Yiddish. It's from the Yiddish I heard at home. And I began to feel, and I said, and what if the German thinks that? Because so I went very quickly into the house, and there was something, but it didn't happen anything because I was. And there was the life was like that. And okay, so we and
in this time, did your mother ever come and visit? Or did you know what happened with your mother?
It's interesting too. My mother came once about 1 month and a half after we came in, because she wanted really to see what is how we feel that. She came once. And she succeeded. I mean, so she came without the star, without like one day, and and after that they say was not possible, was dangerous. No, I think she came once, but my father came once too, but it was much. It was about a long time after, some month after, maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 months after work. Suddenly, one evening, we were eating around the table and I was sitting near the window. I didn't see, the back in the window, like here. And Papa Boutet, as we say, we were calling him Papa Boutet and her Maman Boutet. As Papa Boutet, I see, was looking, I didn't somewhere, and he said, but what this one is wanting, what he's doing there, okay? So it was not something strange. So I looked around and I said, oh, Papa, it was my father. My father was looking, but he didn't know, he was hesitating to see if it's, so as we came, we said, okay. So he came once to see us too. But why? Now I will say why, because it was not in the my father had a very complicated story. Maybe not very interesting, but they call him, he was not, they didn't take him in the street. Look. One day he had to go to the police station. I didn't know what, and no one knew why. Maybe to verify something about the papers about. So he went because my father was like that. He didn't. Everyone, many people were wondering after why he went, but my father was like that. He had to go with a lot. So he went to the police station, and they took him to a Drancy. I mean, they told him maybe he was free or one. He had to go somewhere, and by the end, so Margaret, it was he arrived at Drancy, but there they didn't take him. And why? So it's not very clear because details. Mm-hmm. And my mother said after that, maybe because he said, that was the idea of my mother, that my father had to say that he had a wife, not Jewish, no, because there were different laws. Different laws. And so that's what he said. We asked, it went as they didn't took him there. And so he came back home, and then he said, I want to see the children. Everyone was, it's dangerous and you don't go. And so that's why he went. I have to go and see the children because he didn't know what will be afterwards. Okay. As he went, I will say quickly. So he came and he slept. It was in the evening. He arrived in the evening, so he slept in my room. They took him. And he had to go the other day. But before we went to see Argentan. We went to a walk to Argentan. It was free. I said to see and to do something. And in the way we were talking, my father was not talking very much, I must say, but in this situation, so he was telling me what they are doing in Paris, what my mother said to tell me, what some other dogs said, every story, and I was telling him I'm learning that, I'm doing that, and Maurice, we were speaking and we were going together, and it was good. And when we came back from this walk, I thought suddenly something was missing in all these stories. And at first I didn't know exactly how to ask that, but and I tried and I said, and what about grandmother? That is the mother of my father. And as he stopped, he looked, and he said, they took her too. Because I've seen my first grandmother, how they took them in the night. But the second one, she was not living in our flat. She was living 2 buildings near that. And that's it. And I understand he didn't want to tell me this thing, but yes. And so, and that's it. So it was very sad. And we take care. And after that, and he went. זאת אומרת, after that he went.
And Myriam, what happened to your grandmother? Do you know what happened to her, to your father's?
The same thing. No one knows.
Did she go to Majdanek or did she go to?
No, after that we knew that she was to Auschwitz.
She would tell me.
But it's not that we knew anything.
Only after the war.
You know, I tell you, my first, so the mother of my mother was 59 when they took her. She was, and okay. My mother of my father, she was 82. She was, they are not the same, she was 82, she was, and no one, and I didn't ask what happened because, you know, she was living alone, near us, but alone in a flat in another building near, and so I never asked because there was not what to ask because they didn't see anything. They just knew in the morning that she was not there. And the neighbors, if there was a neighbor at all, that said, I'm not sure even, but they came. I didn't know anything about. I even didn't know if it was. I suppose it was at night because they were doing that at night generally. But I don't know, and no one knows and didn't see that.
And Myriam, can I ask? Oh, it's so difficult. But when your mother came to visit you,
Yes.
you and your brother, you must have been so. It must have been very, very emotional. Very.
Oh yeah, it was sure.
Incredible.
Yes, yes. But it was. But you know, she came. It's not like my father that came. She came. It was only 1 month, and so it's not so long. And so, and we were very joyful. And you know, and everyone, and they said, we didn't know how many times. My father, no, my father, my brother are not to know anything at his age. But I was just a nice girl that I was waiting when they come and took me. It could be, I didn't understand that it will be so long. And when my mother came, so it seemed normal. Something, it was, and she didn't say that she won't know, she won't come back. She didn't say something like that. So, sure, it was very good. But when my father came, it was different because it was really long after we were here, and I began to understand that it won't be so short, and actually now, and we didn't know when it will end, all this thing. But you know what, I was living there. Everyone has his life, and I was very lucky because I didn't suffer of a physical thing, but I didn't live there. I was waiting every day. I was waiting every day that they were waiting as this day as I was doing what I was going to school. I was doing things, but I didn't even I was not interested like I've been in the life. Maybe, you know, I could have loved this life, but it was not. It was not for me. I was only waiting to go back until, and that was.
And you knew all the time that you were Jewish? Inside you knew?
Oh, yes, I was not I was 8, and after that, and 9.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the war, I was exactly, I believe, 10. Sure, I knew. Why? It was exactly what I was living. That I'm Jewish. That I have to not to say that.
Did you ever think, why is this happening? Why is this happening just because we're Jewish? Why? Did you ever question what was going on?
No, I knew the sympathy. I knew that there was that the Germans were criminal. What I knew, they were criminal and wanted to kill the Jews, and it was they were criminal. What could I? And I was waiting that there will be the end of the war to finish that. That's exactly what I was thinking about that, and it's very something special to. I mean, not special, but every Eden child. I didn't know anything about about the camp in the Shoah. Only at the end of the war, I knew what is happening, and when they took my two grandmothers, it was very sad and very criminal. But I think in a way no one spoke about death. It was only they were taking them to it was awful, certainly, to prison or to something, because this I understand very well, but not more than that. And that's it.
And did your mother and father ever come again?
No.
It was only the one time.
No, only one time. Everyone was yes.
And what happened to your mother when your father was taken away?
My mother, she stayed all the war in Paris, and she worked in Paris. Because she was working with some Jewish organization. She was working as an social worker, you say in England. I say she was not a social worker, but she was working like a secretary generally. But in the war, she was working as a social worker. She went for this organization from the joint. They were receiving some money, so she took some money to the new rich, and she was given. You had tickets for bread, for meat, for
coupons,
coupons as she went to the family, like a social worker, to the other, and she was writing, what they say, who is in what situation is this family, what you have to do for that, and that's what. But she was alone, because there was not a grandmother. My father was in the camp, we were in the village. She was alone, and she was not sleeping every day, because in the same place, sometimes with friends, sometimes, because she didn't want that anyone knew exactly where she will be, as she was, but she lived all the
in Paris.
In Paris, yes. And she worked. She lived and she worked, and they were in Paris. And
what happened at the end of the war? Do you remember when?
Yes, sure, I remember. What happened? All this I'm writing in this memoir vive, in this paper. As at the end, it was like that. It was not so good either for me, but the end of the war in Paris was in 1944. And that's the year my father escaped and went to Paris, and they met again, my mother and my father. And they began to live, to begin to live. But they had nothing to live because they took my father had a small bet melacha who say I don't know in English how do you say that, a small place. He was doing the raincoats.
Yes.
He had it was not a shop. It was not
like a booth. A booth.
He was working for the shops. It was an atelier, you say in France. But they took they took it because there was no right for the Jews to have this place to work. So the first thing was to begin to take it to go to return to this place and began to work, but it was very, very long because there was other people there, not Jewish, because in the place, and it was very, very long. I don't know the details, but and so they don't know my mother and my father, they didn't came in 1944 to take, because we were in a good place, and they thought it was better for us, so they came on. So we take. I remember they began to write because they were not writing they were writing only a bit more patience. Exactly, that was about what I was. Everything will be now. It was good, but odd. Yes, and. Finally, in January 1945, they came finally, and when they came, I was very glad, certainly. It was the end. We had to take a car to go to Paris from C, and this car came. It was a public about at 5 in the morning, about something like that. So we were ready in the. It was not a street. It was a road. In the road. Papa Boutet and Maman Boutet came with us to say goodbye. It was very...
Was it difficult to say goodbye
I was very glad to go back to Paris. And so we were waiting. It was very cold. Remember, it was January. It was night. It was night. It was very, very cold, and we were waiting and sudden, and my brother too, and my brother too, and suddenly the car came, and it was a big noise and light, and people in there, and my brother began to cry and shout when you say, I think he feared or something, and he went to Maman Boutet and he took her, and he didn't want to go away, and my parents had to take him by force to come to enter the car. And I was really, I didn't, it's not I didn't understand, but it was very sad for me why I was so glad, and he was not glad. Certainly at this time he was free.
And he didn't know
and 2 years, and I thought I didn't even know if he knew exactly my parents. So he felt exactly that it was the parents that came, And so we came, okay, and we arrived in Paris, and it was a very very big time. And I remember when my mother opened the door. We were in the third floor, and we entered our flat, and it was something like a dream, a wonderful. And I wanted to look. There were some cupboards in the drawing room, and I went to open something, and my mother, my parents said, no, not now. Now it's very late. Now we have to eat. And I felt that something is not exactly what I felt, and we had to begin a life that was not what I thought. And many children of this said that the war began in 1945 because it was so different when they came back somewhere. So I had my parents. My grandmother didn't come, but my parents were here, and a lot of children had no parents when they came, and it began to, and life was not easy and not, and you see in the family, not many. The aunt, the uncle, many others were not here. And before the war, on Sunday generally, my mother was inviting some of the family. It was a family. I saw there was about 10 people in there, and but after the war, this didn't. Was not possible. She tried one or two to invite but he didn't go. So many people were missing, and so it was anyway it was a different life, and we something that maybe I don't know if you can understand that, but when we began to live together, to try in the family, we didn't speak about what was in the war. There was no question whether what they did. I don't, and I never knew many details of the life, how really my mother lived. We were not speaking about that.
Did your parents ask you how you were living?
No. Again, our parents didn't ask how it was in say. They knew about things, but never in details. They never asked, not in this way, not in the other way. And only maybe last thing, when exactly 1 or 2 days after we went we were in Paris and lived, as you know, especially my father, he didn't know how to do how I say that. I don't know how we say that in English, but to live to see the children. So he was looking all the time. He was looking all the time at us, how we live. And especially my father was small, as he was taking him on his knees, and he was giving him how to eat, one for mother, one for father, everything, and he was playing with him on the, and my father said, the little child, he was astonished, he was not used this, and he said, "You are nicer than Papa Boutet," because the poor peasant never was doing anything with the children. He was working, he was not a bad man at all, but he was working class. He didn't know anything with the children. Only sometimes we could say, don't do noise, don't be noisy, and so it was really very different for him, as really, it was
But did you and your brother, did you connect very closely to your parents? Did it take a long time for you to make the connection?
No, maybe for myself, no.
It was
no,
quick.
no.
It was immediate.
No, it was immediate for him, for me, because
For your
I was
brother,
looking. I suppose for my brother it was different.
It's different.
Because he didn't know anything what was in this time and how we live. For him, it was a very different life, but not for me. No, I was not so small, and 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 my father had tears in the eyes, and myself and mother, that was she was there too. That was something. They said that he said that spontaneous like that, and so that's it. And we began to.
And Myriam, your old apartment.
Yes.
Did anything remain from the old apartment? Did you go back?
Which apartment?
Where you lived before the war.
It was the same.
You went back to that apartment?
It was always, yes, because my mother stayed in Paris, she was in this apartment. They didn't take, the apartment stayed all the time. What they took was the atelier, the way they were working. With the way they were working, it was to take it back. No, there was no problem for us, but there was no problem with the apartment.
And can I ask, Myriam, it's a difficult question, but knowing that the French police took your grandmother,
yeah,
it must have been, and they were complicit with the Germans. It was.
Oh, that's everyone knows that.
But it must have been difficult living in Paris, seeing the police again, knowing that they were together with the Germans. It's a very difficult thing to comprehend or to come to terms with.
Yes, but you know what happened in Paris and all the time, because it's like, unfortunately, like in a film, there were the bad people and the good people, because they were after the war, everyone, the policeman. It was not supposed to be. It was, but we didn't know. It was not supposed to be the same policeman. These people were people that didn't like at all the German, and was good, and yes.
And you went to school?
Yes, directly I went to school. But everything was different, It's difficult to explain.
Were there any other Jewish children in the school?
Yes. I had my, yes, there were some 2 or 3, at least more than that. Jewish in the school. As if you want to hear that, I had the first year of the the school at 6, זאת אומרת, when I entered the first class, as I knew a girl, a small girl like me, her name was Marie, and we began to be friends, and she was living in front of, in the building, in front of our building, so we began to know ourselves and to go together to the school and so on and so on. And that was for the first year, and she was a good pupil, and we were the first in the class everywhere, and she was the second, and we were together, we were sitting on the same table and everything. You know, children. The second year, it happened the second year, it was exactly in the year 42. In 42, one day, I didn't see her, but we were meeting in the street. We were meeting in the street and to go to school, and she was not there. So, okay, she was not there, it's not, I thought I was a bit late and she could something. So I went to the school, and when I entered the school, I saw the mistress there, they were speaking, and they were saying, vous vous rendez compte? That means you can understand that, you stand that? The little Mary, they took her. The little Mary, that's exactly when I entered the school in the
courtyard.
Before the course, before we enter, you know, there is a place. Okay. And they looked exactly with eyes. They didn't know what to say, because and that's the way I learned that they took all the family in the night too. It was before they come. One of the first, they took my mother. She had a small brother too, and they took the father, the mother, and she Marie, and the brother. And that's a story that they were speaking about. I mean, and it's a neighbor saw that. How they in the night, and Mary was crying and said, and what I do, I have to go to school, something like that. That what the neighbor. That's what she said. And in the school, she didn't. She was 6, 7. Yes, she was 7, and yes, and that's exactly the one. I think the first one of the story that I looked at. They took people. It was Mary. Yes, that she was not from the family. Yes.
Did you know what happened? Do you know where they were deported?
Oh, yes. I'm looking for it. Yes, they were deported to Auschwitz. They were to, you know, the father of Mary was a big, strong man. He was good. And some people in France say il est fort comme un Turc. I don't know if you understand that. He is strong like a Turkish man. That is the whole story, you say that. And they thought he was really a Turk. He was from Salonique. Really, he was a stranger, but really he was from Salonique. They were the family. Okay, as they took the 4 and they went to to Auschwitz. Sure. And 4 years, another story, 4 years after that, when I came back to Paris, I was in the college. It was I was in the street. I was coming back from school, and I saw a man that said, "Hello, you know me?" And it was the father. I looked, and and I said, it was, and he began to speak with me because I was the friend of his daughter, and he told me like you speak to a child, you know, without question, and the way what can you do? He began to tell me they didn't come back. Only I come back. And now I'm married again, he said, from friend. And he was looking at me, asking, where do you go to school? I told him, I'm going to Lycée Hélène Boucher. And you know, when we were speaking, we thought, you can understand, that was the school that Marie was going if she was there. And so we had a conversation like that, and he was looking at me, and he said, and you know, it was harder for him. It was a bit hard for me, but it was a child, but for him, I suppose it was awful. And so he says, you know, she was nice, the little Mary. He told me, I wanted almost crying, but I said, oh yes, she was nice. And we had a conversation in that way, and that's what happened of this. Yes, you know, there were a lot of things to sort of. Now, you said, why are we, you wanted me to tell stories. And why do we have to tell stories? Because unfortunately, we see that less and less people know, and especially the young people, they just don't know what was. I'm not speaking about people that want to deny what was, but a lot of people don't want to deny anything, but they don't know. They don't think what happened, and it's very important not to forget. Just, and why? Why not to forget? Because it was so impossible and awful that you have to understand that we have to do something to have another world, and not to live the same thing.
It's a wonderful message. It's a very special message, Myriam. Wow. Myriam, can I ask, did you ever go back to the village that saved you? Did you used to go?
Yes, that's what the story of the. You say Medaille in English? Well, that's like it began, because I wanted to. It was a very long time. I think it was in the 80 something. It was a very long time. Because at the beginning, you know, you don't think. At the beginning, I never thought about this Medaille of the right people of the world.
The righteous.
I didn't even know exactly how it goes, what happened. It was a very, very long time after that I heard about that and said, so I will do that. They deserve that. So it began by that I take my husband, and we went together to say is the name of the small village, to look at the house. What is? I knew they were not in life.
But were you ever in touch with them before? After the war, were you ever in touch?
Not really. Once, not really, because they were not people to write. They were not people to, and there were no telephone. You understand? And not really, because we did. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to. Forgot to. Once or twice we sent, only a good year at the end of the year, and I don't even remember. I don't want to say anything. I don't know exactly if we had an answer, because they were not people to send letters, and after that we had no real link. No, we forgot all this. I mean, we didn't forget, but we didn't speak and didn't know anything about that. So when I began to think, I do something, we went to this village, and we with my husband, and I think some Ben too, one of the children too. And what did we see there? An abandoned house. There was no one was living there, and in the garden you had there was what you call the mauvaise herbe, sort of everything was yerek, but nothing of what Papa Boutte was doing there, and the well was there, but everything was abandoned. And so we tried to ask what happened to these people, but it was, and no one knew. So that was the first visit we had there. As after that, when I saw that that it is the situation, when I came back to Israel, I wanted to find something, and I had the idea to call the mayor of this small village. You call that the mayor, and I tell the story. I want to know what do you know? And there was the only thing I knew is what the tomb of the small young boy of them. I knew the name. They asked who find as I began to know what about what about the tomb, because of the thing. As some details about that I did, and he found where are the children and the grandchildren, and then we began. So that was the beginning, and so I began to write and to ask for them, and we had a very nice ceremony there. What we say. It was a very big thing for them too, in the small village, but no one. We eat kosher, so we had to find a traitor there, someone who does everything. It was a nice thing, and came in, and there were sings and poesy and everything, and discourse, it was very nice. But it was really a very, very long time after that. And you know, my best friend there, Eliane, that I wanted to meet, she has Alzheimer. She was not so she couldn't come. And the other one, it was very, so we were to see a very change, and I don't think that the memory, that some of them, you know, I'm very sure, no one knew that I was Jewish, but after that someone said she knew that I don't think it was true, but it was a nice, no, it's very good that people think about that. It's an occasion to speak about.
And the names are in Yad Vashem. The names are.
Yes, and the name. Yes, her name. Yes, and you know, and grandson is very, very nice. And they were very happy that. So, and if we are speaking about that, and you know this on the wall there. They give me this very beautiful.
It's wonderful.
A gift.
A gift.
You know, the wife of the grandson, she did that.
And she put a Magen David and in Hebrew?
No, and she tried, and you have a lot of semels.
Signs, yeah.
Yes, there. You know, this is for Tzarfat.
For France,
for France, and this is for Israel and everything. And you know, this is the sadness of they are weeping. You know, there, and a lot of top. This is for the name Anne-Marie Boutet. These are the name of the nurse, and Mathurin Boutet, the husband. And you know, there is a signification in all this, and it's so nice, you know. And what is written in France too, in French, celui qui sauve une étoile éclaire l'univers tout entier, des lueurs que les justes ont allumées. I don't know if I want to translate you one. The one who saves a star gives light, let's say, to the whole world, and it's the light, let's say, of the right of the nation. No,
so it's similar to if you save one soul, you save the world.
And you know, and exactly, it's not in vain, you know, this phrase, because as you understand, it goes from what is written in the Talmud. Yes, the one who saves one life
saves the world.
And she's so yes.
Wow, it's amazing.
It's amazing what she said. She did that, and you know, this is a very good souvenir.
And it's from 1943 to 2014.
Yes, everything, you know, everything has a signification.
It's so meaningful. It's
okay.
Wow.
Good.
So, Myriam, I just want to thank you. If we can, Myriam, I'm so grateful to you. You have no idea.
Yes, it was a bit difficult to me.
No, Myriam, you're amazing. I just want to ask you, Myriam, with everything, first of all, I just want to thank you, and I'm just going to come inside with you.
Yes.
And Myriam, really, there are no words to thank you. I'm so grateful.
No, not at
you
all.
are.
Yes, I
your story, what you've gone through, is just, it's unbelievable. It is something incredible, and
Yeah.
You are so positive, and you it's just amazing how not only resilient, but you went through such a harrowing experience, and you smiling, and you're positive, and it's just, there are no words really. You are an example all of us can emulate. It's amazing.
No, not at all. You unfortunately, you have I don't know, not million, maybe some of hidden children in the world, and everyone had his life, and generally not so good as mine, because many of them had much more.
Myriam, in this picture, is this the village?
I have to think, because it's not. I wrote the article, but I didn't put this and.
The most important is we have you and your brother. Is your brother still alive?
Oh yes. Yes, he's alive.
And where does he live?
He's in Paris. Initially, he's in France. He's a psychiatrist. You know, now he's no. He's now more. You know, the time is going.
It's going.
We are not small small children, but yes.
And Myriam, I have to ask you. You went through so much, but you religious. You kept your faith. You have.
Oh,
because it's a difficult question.
That's another story. And if you want to know, you have to know.
Very much, very much.
I didn't. I was not born in a Jewish observant family. And generally my family was not an intellectual one in the whole, and they were not first of all, they were not people that could learn more, because they went to my parents. You know, I have a lot of things. My parents went to work. They had to work for a living. And I think at about 15 or something. I think my brother, no, my father was 13 when he came from Lita. He came from Lita, and he was 13. He didn't know a word of French. There was no reason for that. They learned. You know, he wanted to work in how do you call that? I don't know. With later to a mall. I mean, he wanted to work in an imprimerie. You say that in a, you know, you write. You do papers in the, how do you call that?
Printing?
I just forgot.
Printing?
Yes, printing. Yes, some printing. Or you know, there was a Jewish place in Rue des Rosiers, in the Jewish in Paris, and he learned French and to read. He didn't know even read because he knew Yiddish and Russian, so he didn't know Latin letters. So yes, you know, in a printing place, and so he went, and they did a Yiddish paper there, also something, but in French too. So he had to put it in French. As he worked there, the poor man, and after 15 days, I think, they didn't take him, because he was changing the place of the letters. He couldn't. So as the end, as he learned to be a tailor and to do.
Myriam, did he ever tell you why he went from Lita to France? Why did?
My father's family. It was the pogrom. They didn't. They came. They went out. There was one pogrom somewhere.
In Lita.
In Lita, yes.
And maybe it's the only place he could go to.
So they went and they went to Paris. I don't know why to go to Paris. So as that's what were we?
So how did you become more observant and
observant is oh yes, as very quickly. When I came back in Paris, I was 10. And there were youth movement, you know. As first, there was in our street especially something of Hashomer HaTzair, and I wanted to learn a lot of things. And after that, but in Hashomer HaTzair, they were very nice and very good, but they didn't speak much about Judaism. We were singing Russian song, and it was okay. So but there was what you call les éclaireurs israélites de France. Les éclaireurs israélites de France. So I entered this movement. And I began to learn things about, and very quickly there is a very famous school. It's called Gilbert Bloch in Orsay. Now I suppose it's very famous and everyone knows that. One of the scouts there was Léon Ashkenazi they call Manitou, and he opened a school, and just to give possibility to young people to learn Judaism. And I went there, and I was interested, and it's a long story, and I decided to observe, to learn, and I went, and the end was that I came to Israel, so I learned more. I wanted to, I learned more in Israel, and
your parents were happy?
Happy,
Oh, but they allowed?
Sure. No.
But they were supportive?
No, my parents were very free good people, very free. They were not, they wanted that to leave me to do what I want. They were very good. They were, I don't think they were so happy in the way.
But supportive? They supported you?
Yes, and they had not to do. Yes, well, as you say, they supported this sort of they couldn't do anything, but it was no, but they understood that it was. They knew that they didn't. They knew that their family. They were born in observant families, and there was no, you know, how you say. A war,
conflict. There wasn't a conflict
in that, or even to go. They were not so happy that I go to Israel, because not that they were not Zionists, but they wanted me to live well, to live with.
And when did you come to Israel? In what year?
In 1962.
62.
And yes, at the end of the story. For my observance, that's when I came to Israel, I met my husband, who is a very Talmid Chacham, an observant man, and so this was the end of that's that.
Well, your husband became a professor of history at Hebrew University.
Yes, I was, yes.
And you got married in Israel? You were married here?
No, because exactly my parents were in Paris, and we could. It was very difficult. No, as for we were married in Paris. We went to the family to be, and we were married in Paris, with Rabbi Shili there in. Yes.
And thank you so much. I'm so grateful.